Hello everyone. It's exciting to be here with you all today. So I named this talk Choice and Meaning in Light and Darkness. And this is a bit of an interesting talk, an interesting group gathering for me. It's not something I'm usually doing, so I'm a little bit nervous, but enjoying it nonetheless. Normally I'm doing channeling, working with a collective group of consciousness of souls who are from another star system and incarnate into this world, or working with ceremonial cacao and sound in a space that's much more interactive. So I'm trying something new out, and I tried to record this talk a couple of times and decided that I would just let it flow through as it comes today. So just looking around at all of you, feel the beautiful energy here, and thank you for sharing your song and creating this space, everyone opening their hearts here together. It's so beautiful. I asked the question today, how would you like to feel? And I'm going to ask another question that you can answer for yourself. What is the opposite of that feeling? And am I reaching for that feeling that I want and would like to feel to escape from the opposite of that feeling? This is where choice is so important, because we can choose where we focus ultimately. That's the internal choice we're making all the time. Are we focusing on light, or are we focusing on darkness? Are we focusing on the positive, or are we focusing on the negative? Wherever we focus, we'll get more of. Though if you just focus on the positive, it's like you put yourself in this feedback loop where you're just escaping from what's beneath the surface, and you never get out. This is a lesson that the souls from the world we call the Pleiades have had to learn, and they came here to incarnate in order to learn how do you face shadow, because their dimension, they were simply trying to avoid it continuously. So I answered the question today, I would like to feel complete. And I would like to feel complete because how I felt in coming to this island is totally shattered and broken time and time again. And that pain, the depth of that pain, really frightened me. Like, okay, here I am, I'm going to have to present in front of people today, and for weeks on end I'm just here wondering, what am I doing here? What am I really doing here? Is this ever going to end? And it only ends when we end our own resistance. One thing that I learned with my teachers, and I'll share many of them, is whatever you resist persists. So, coming to feel complete, I had to stop resisting the feeling of being entirely broken. And the truth is that we are all one. Yet we live in this world where we all have our own individual experiences. We're returning to that oneness through realizing why it was so important to break ourselves apart into many different forms that are realizing that collective consciousness we all are together. And likewise, as individuals, we fragment ourselves, we break apart. Every time we say, I don't want to feel that way, I'm not going to let myself feel that way. And this is something we do just in order to survive. That as children we learn certain emotions are alright, and others are kind of scary, we don't want to go there. And in order to get love, we shut down those circuits. And there becomes this one part of us that's good and happy and accepted, yay, and this other part of us that's afraid, and keeps that hidden away. And so, until we go back and rescue all of those little children and adolescents and young adults and whoever we hold inside of us that are feeling those tense, frightening feelings, and say, hey, I love you. You have every right to feel that way. They're going to create a reality in which we're forced to feel the things they're feeling, because those are our wake-up call to return to love. So I came to Guatemala in 2013, and my spiritual awakening happened because it had to. Otherwise, I would probably have had an awakening into another kind of expression beyond my body. I grew up raised by alcoholic people. My beautiful family, they're so amazing. Yet at the same time, I was put in a reality from very early on where in order for me to love you, you have to dislike this other person and distrust this other person and realize that this person is wrong and I'm right. And so little Dante, trying to get love from everyone, shattered himself into so many pieces and didn't know which way was up. Though I was very wise, very smart. My mind could figure things out, and still does, pretty well. So I did well in school, and they sent me away, and I realized that something was very wrong with the world around me. And medicines, yoga, esoteric studies, everything became very important to me, to a point where I went from being addicted to whatever they were addicted to sitting in my room and meditating. And 4 hours a day was not even enough. Totally serious. And around this time, I saw these books from channels, Barbara Handclough, Barbara Marciniak, and others who were working with this Pleiadian extraterrestrial group, talking about this 2012 time. And a year or so before, I had gone traveling for the very first time and went to some gatherings and had very opening, profound experiences. And when I saw this 2012, I knew one of the gatherings that I went to was happening on the land of the Mayan people. So I decided to leave everything behind and just go for it. And I went to this land in Palenque, Mexico, where there were Mayan shaman gathering all around from Mexico and people from all around the world who were called here to for that time. And the shaman showed their ways with many shaman from South America who were part of different traditions, brought their medicine and brought their energy from the South America to welcome this energy that was an awakening and coming through these channels of energy that run through the North American and South American continent into, and will really reunify. They were talking about this prophecy of the times of the eagle and the condor, when these two seemingly rival spirits would come and unify once more. And my life changed very rapidly. I went through tremendous fear continuously and ending up in a new country where I barely spoke the language and facing all of these very interesting initiations with my health, with everything being lost. And I've done this all over the years many times. This was the very first chapter, and one that was quite shocking. And it was also during this time that I had some of the first contact with some of these beings that presented themselves just as these lights in the sky or images that would come in visions or in dreams. And it was quite a while later that they made themselves more present in my reality. Though I made my way to Guatemala, where I found this bustling spiritual community and put the skills that I had learned teaching yoga and Reiki for just a couple of years into practice right away in this New Age community, and found teachers who supported me. And one worked with this special chocolate drink that was once sacred to the Mayan Aztec people, though it had become lost with time. And he came with the message that you are already the most highly trained, powerful healer you ever will be. And I'm just here for you to wake up what's already inside you. And that's the same message I share with you today, is that whatever you desire to be, you are already complete and you are already fully present in that God consciousness. It's just that you haven't allowed all of that light to come through you. So I spent 5 years going back to Guatemala and then traveling the world the other half, not aimlessly, but wondering, not lost, but curious of how I could share what I've been learning and how I could add on more layers to this. And in exploring so many different paths and teachings, I can tell you that the more that I learn, the less I know. But the more that I learn, the more I trust. And that was also the message that my shaman brought from the very first days, that trust and surrender are the most important things that you will need in the times to come. And if you cooperate with this process that you're going through now, you will be needed in the times to come when people out there start to lose their stuff in very real ways. As the energies coming to this planet now are potent energies of transformation that are asking us to change our entire consciousness and change our entire way of life and change how we relate to these other dimensions of experience that have seemed to be covered up to humans but are just there around the corner if we only let ourselves believe and focus there. He gave me the message that you're going to be really needed. And he also sent me on a journey of going through some of the most intense emotional upheavals again and again in a space where nothing was happening to trigger it. That the easy bus to really releasing this, what he called pain body or density, is not to avoid it. And it's definitely not to ask the universe around us to bring us another manifestation to feel that very same thing that we're avoiding. He called that the hard bus. We're all very experienced at it. The best way was what he called the easy bus. And the easy bus led to the magic bus. Totally serious. The easy bus is to go within to those deeper held emotions and beliefs and completely allow them, completely hold them close and hold them in your heart. And as you do, they will transform. The things that you are hiding from, if you just let them in to your heart, would become the things that you want the most. But you have said, no, universe, I will not feel that way. I will not let that come. So when I learned this, I was going through a lot. It was like I was this pendulum swinging back and forth from bliss to rage, frustration, despair, confusion, bliss. And it would be back and forth every 3 minutes to every couple hours to every couple of days. I didn't really know what was going on, but I just kept going back and drinking this chocolate stuff and hoping one day it would get better if I listened. That was the very beginning, and over time I found this ability to fully surrender and bring love to parts of me that I thought were unlovable, to understand why I had become the way I am through a lot of suppression. Even spirituality can be a suppression if we use meditation or use an affirmation in order to get rid of what's wrong with us. And instead I learned how to embrace. One of the other most amazing teachings was that you create your reality and there's no fine print. That the world around you is just the manifestation of your soul's energy that has been imprinted in you for lifetimes and in your early experience. That what occurs is actually always there to give you a perfect gift. And the only way to discover how and why is to let yourself feel completely and trust completely in that process. So, in learning that I create my own reality, I've come to reinterpret the events of my life as blessings. That while there may have been great challenges, if it wasn't for the pain that I endured early into my life, I wouldn't have awakened, I wouldn't have gone on this journey. If it wasn't for the pain that we all hold now, we wouldn't be catalyzed to change. And if it wasn't for some of these seeming mishaps, like volcanoes and what have you, it wouldn't be the way it is. It wouldn't allow for this contrast of experience that we came here for, to grow at a really rapid rate. So, does anyone have any questions? I sometimes get it moving.
Yeah. coming.
Yeah.
I would like you to address the Palladians that you talked to. If
Yeah.
you're ready to do that.
So I'll do a channeling session later where I'm kind of in a direct link with them, though they are really us. They're another aspect of our own soul, that we as souls came into this plane bringing energies from many other worlds of incarnation. And on the earth plane, you don't have to buy all this stuff, especially if you're not coming to the workshop. It's kind of a fine line between what to say and what not to say, though what they say, I can say this much, is what they say is that humans have evolved over thousands and thousands of years with influence from many extraterrestrial races who have come here both incarnating as souls and have come here at other levels to kind of influence how we develop. And my relationship with these beings formed all throughout my path as I was learning shamanism and how to alter consciousness through dream states and meditations and different techniques to access these other worlds. I was starting to meet them and many other beings. And eventually I was starting to listen to many other channels and work with energy healing modalities that work with angels. And the Pleiadian group started to come through and send messages to me, as well as other extraterrestrials. And who they are, they're really higher aspects of our own soul. Everything is one at these other levels. And the beings that I channel are a collective, so it's like a group mind that has many individual components. And it's from a different star system that shaman and many people have known about for thousands of years and have had this relationship with them. And so when I channel, it's really this transmission of energy from them that comes through, and they're really profound teachers, and you don't have to believe what they say necessarily in order to get the benefit of it. The one thing that the channeled beings say is to follow your highest excitement to the best of your ability without any insistence on the outcome, and you will create your own highest expression of self in this incarnation. And that comes from a channel, Bashar, that's been a very helpful guide for me, one of the most powerful channels that I've listened to. And this is an interesting thought. Follow your highest excitement to the very best of your ability without any insistence on the outcome. That's the part that I get hung up on. Though it's really taking you back to your own heart's natural joy, your own natural inclination. What is it that would bring you to expand the most? What is it that would bring you to feel the most connected? And if you really follow that, you will be led to your fastest path of growth. Though how do you really know if you're following your heart's excitement or if you're following your anxiety? That's the tricky part. Because they're the same energies, right? Expressed in different forms. And if you let yourself let go of that tendency to try to avoid a feeling and just embody all of it. Embody an acceptance of every possible outcome, every possible thing that could happen. And it's all okay. You'll know that that impulse of your heart is leading you. Maybe not where you want to go, but to something that is going to be a gift and a blessing to you. So, I've had to learn how to turn pretty intense things that happened in Hawaii into blessings. I came here with the dream of starting a new relationship with somebody, and it was going all right for a short time until I moved over to the other side of the island the day the volcano started erupting, and was just going through this very confused situation with people I didn't know and couldn't speak my truth, and then ended up in a place rather isolated by myself and all sorts of problems, one after another. A week into it, okay, yeah, I'm going to write my book here, I'm going to get my online stuff going, and my computer breaks, my singing bowl breaks. Finally get to go out and get to the ocean, because, oh yeah, the ocean's one of my favorite things, most healing things here. And as soon as I get in the water, huge gash in my foot, and now the most healing and exciting thing is something that I can't go out and do. And so, how do I turn all of this into a blessing? What is the teaching in this? Well, just laying in my bed yesterday, I was like, okay, there's not much more I can do. Here's my foot, kind of incapacitated, can't drive, can't walk. Guess it's just supposed to take me to this place of emptiness. And in this place of total emptiness, total surrender, total not need, with no need to go anywhere or do anything, just resting into this love and excitement that's really in me, in the center of my being, that doesn't need it to change. That was the gift. That was the gift that all of these great forces of destruction were there to bring. So in the midst of this, I get the call to come and speak here, and I'm like, okay, what is the title of this? The title is Meaning and Choice. Because the meaning of something can either make it the blessing, or the meaning of it can make it the disaster. And we're always choosing. What does it really mean? So can you use the events of your life as gifts? Can you give them the meaning that this is exactly what I designed in order to get me in touch with those wounds that I may have been avoiding? This is what I designed for myself in order to learn how to love this part of me. Can you define your reality in that way? Because I guarantee if you do, the ups and downs will continue, but the downs won't feel like they're going to destroy you entirely. You'll be able to rise up again. Or are you going to use those moments to create a framework of reality that is destructive, that the world's just hard, it's not fair? Are you going to define the events of your life in that way? Because what I've learned is that reality really does conform to your description of it. The mind's very powerful, and when you start to give yourself to a belief system, that belief system will prove itself to be true in your reality. So the quickest way to have an easier life and a more joyful and connected life is to let everything, absolutely everything, be a gift. And it's not seeing it as a gift to get rid of the bad feeling. It's taking that bad feeling itself as the gift. As going through that brings you to a state of peace and surrender where what we perceive as light and what we perceive as darkness is one. Because the ultimate truth of this universe is oneness, that there is no separation, there is no being that is purely dark or purely light. It all merges into oneness. So the darkest aspects of creation have created a framework of reality. The darkest people out there have created a framework of reality in which they're separate. They're not connected. And in order to receive the love or energy that is their natural right and is infinite, as all are already one with Source, they have to take it from another separate aspect of this reality. And this is the greatest suffering that is possible. That's like living in a hell, that I am totally separate, and I have to get my energy from outside. It's not present within me. And really, my teacher said that people like that who have some sort of a belief system are psychic vampires. Yet, those psychic vampires later become the very greatest healers because they have been in a training program for who knows how long, of how to source energy, and they source it from others. When they learned how to use the same tactic to source energy from source itself, they will be the most powerful healers out there. The darkest figures out there are actually beings of light in disguise that are there to wake us up to that unity. And the darkest figures in your life that may have betrayed you or hurt you are teachers that are there to get you in touch with what you have not yet integrated. And it isn't necessarily easy, it's not always blissful. Yet the real bliss is in realizing the unity of that love and that pain. That this is part of our dimension. And here and now, when we completely surrender and let go to that emptiness, we can connect to other worlds where we're beyond that already. Worlds like where these supposed Pleiadians live, where everything is an instant manifestation, everything is a joy, and everything is easy. We will get there as souls, and we will create a reality that is much more blissful on this earth. Though the way to get there is to create connection within ourselves, within all aspects of ourselves, with the parts of ourselves that may have been hiding or fragmented or lost, and say to them, I love you. And with each other, to let ourselves share those parts of us that feel frightened and fragmented with another. It's actually the quickest way to be empowered and strong, because it lets light flood into a place where there may have been darkness. And that state of vulnerability, exposure, allows us to gain in strength, allows us to know that while we may feel broken, we are always one with our source. We've never been separate from that source. Yet to experience separation allows us to return to that state of unity with more appreciation, and allows us to see other aspects of self. And really, everyone is another aspect of yourself from this perspective. Everyone is just another aspect of oneness appearing outside of you. And look to those parts that may have seemed separate, and extend that same unconditional love that allows their pain to return into the unity. And the more we unite together and have that stance, have that definition that allows us to create a positive meaning from what seems negative, and share that unconditional love, the more we will all create a state of unity. And supposedly these beings I channel and many others channel say that if we keep up on this, in 10, 15 years from now, there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of other visitors coming to the planet. Though, whether you experience that or not really determines, do you believe it? Do you want it to be true? How does it feel like if that's true? I don't know. But there's only one way to find out. Yes?
I have a question about that. So, in my own mind, I often wonder why we get to be so intrigued and interested and curious about extraterrestrials.
Yes.
When the source is within us, we know that. We know that we are connected and in an internal place. We get to be whatever we can, and we've had plenty, multitudes, millions of enlightened teachers that have reincarnated here as us. And so what's your answer to why we have to continue to look so far out into outer space?
Well, we don't have to look far out, because the truth that they share is that they're within us. They're within our soul energy. They're within our soul makeup. And the truth of oneness is that we can connect with any other soul, any other group of consciousness, right here and now. So, while contact may seem from a mechanical perspective to be like, oh, ships coming there, or us sending things up into space and going out there, it's actually a reorientation of our bodies and of our soul energy to realize that we are these antennas and receptacles for energy, and that what we perceive as a communication happening out there is actually happening right here within our own bodies. Our bodies are these receiving devices for energies. And not only do these seemingly extraterrestrial energies bring guidance, they bring healing. Many of the extraterrestrial channels, including myself, can work with these beings as kind of like surgeons. And they come through and they do operations in the body and in the chakras. And really since ancient times in Egypt as well, and many other cultures have had a connection with these beings that have allowed them to do that. So yeah, it is a return to self, and it may seem like it's something outside and beyond, but it's really who you are.
Did you initiate connection with the Pleiadians, or did they come to you?
Interesting question. I think I said yes before they said that they would be the ones who want to do it, because I was really doing a lot of energy healing practices and asking for my guides to come through. So I had already said to the universe, I want to hear from my guides. And then they were like, hi, we're here and we're your guides. And I just answered that call.
So you described the easy bus and the hard bus, but I'm not sure if you've described yet the magic bus.
Okay. The magic bus is when you shift into a different parallel reality. The magic bus is when you've mastered the easy bus and that there's no longer any resistance within you that's going to prevent you from creating a new reality in this moment. And this is a more quantum level understanding that in each and every moment we're in a different universe. In each and every moment when we reorient our focus, we're in a different framework of reality. And so how our mind and our hearts generate reality can be as easy as one little switch. But as long as there's any level of resistance to something that we don't want to feel or we don't want to experience, we put out a magnet for that very same thing and that very same feeling. So the easy bus is like this temperance school to get us to a point where there's no longer anything that we have to be so mindful of to just allow in this flow of cosmic energies. That's the magic bus. I think that's the best way to describe it. He might describe it in a very different way. Is another hand? Should I describe the workshop now? Okay. So, yeah, it's been an honor to share with you all today. And what note should I leave on?
See you on the magic
Yeah.
bus.
See you on the magic bus.
Thank you so much, Dante. Yes.
Wisdom is all around us, and thank you very much for